Welcome back to episode 3 of season 9, where we are going to be looking at a really interesting film. But before we do that, it's time for quick cuts. And being the gentleman that I am, I'll let Maniac go first.
I get to go first. All right. My quick cut is a 2026 horror film. I think it might have been the first notable one to come out. This is Primate. So synopsis is, a young woman and her friend's tropical vacation in Hawaii turns deadly when their family's pet chimpanzee, Ben, becomes rabid and violently attacks them and others, forcing a survival struggle in their remote cliffside home. Directed by Johannes Roberts and starring Johnny Sequoia, Jessica Alexander, and Troy Kotzer. There we go. This has a 6.1 on an movie database and a 79% critic score and a 71% audience score. Pretty good. Did you get a chance to see this one?
I haven't seen this one yet. No. Is it worth seeing in theaters, or will that spoil the joy of this film? Like, is there any big set pieces that need to be seen?
Actually, I think there's some nice things going on to see in theaters. I think it's pretty decent. I mean, the 71% is about right. I think it's not amazing, but I don't think it's bad. There's some good gore. I actually thought the characters were a little better developed than I had anticipated for a killer monkey movie. And the setting is kind of cool. I think my issue is that I just don't find chimpanzees very scary.
Yeah.
So
despite what you know about what they can do to you.
Yeah, I know they can.
Yeah.
But just seeing a chimp, and they do a decent job of making it kind of scary.
Yeah, fair enough.
They use practicals, which is nice. It's not a CG monkey.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because at the beginning of the film, you like the chimp and you're on the chimp side. So because you sympathize with it and you're kind of rooting for it, when it turns, it's kind of awkward. It doesn't quite work. Maybe it's a little bit like Cujo.
Right.
Where you have a pet that becomes the monster.
Yeah.
And there's actually some sequences in here which almost seem like they're maybe referencing Cujo a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a solid film. I don't think you need to run out and see it. I don't think it's amazing, but you could do worse. So yeah, I thought Cujo. I thought Primate was pretty solid.
Better than last year's Monkey?
Yes. Okay. I enjoyed it more than the Monkey.
Okay, good.
Yeah, do you think you'll see this one or?
Yeah, I think I will. I actually have plans. It's Tuesday right now, and I have a free Saturday night coming up, so I might be going to the theater, but I think there's 3 playing that I want to see right now.
Yeah, this may not actually be in theaters anymore.
Oh, okay. It was in yesterday, but it might not be in by the next weekend.
We'll narrow down your options.
Yeah.
All right, and your quick cut?
My quick cut is an interesting one. Candyland 2022. This is a slasher horror thriller, 5.3 on IMDb and 75 and 61. So a little bit of disjointed.
Is it based on the board game?
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
Right.
Director John Swab, Olivia Lucardi, Sam Quarton, Eden Brolin, and William Baldwin. A seemingly naive and devout young woman navigates her way into the underground world of truck stop sex workers, aka lot lizards. So my take on it is this film is by turns grim, shocking, and gripping. There's a few like, oh man, I didn't think they were going to go there. So I thought that was really interesting. One viewer described it as a juxtaposition of the amoral and the fanatical. It's a really interesting look at, and I don't want to read like too much into this, but like sort of faith and what people will do for their faith.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting film.
What do you think accounts for the discrepancy in the critic score and the audience score? Does that surprise you, or?
It did surprise me a little bit. I think the critic score is because it's well done. I think the audience score, it's not what you expect it's going to be.
Okay.
I think how they set up the premise of the film, you think, well, at least I did, they're leading you down one path, but then it takes a real left turn partway through the film, and you're like, whoa, I didn't think it was going to go there. And then it's just like balls to the walls from about maybe 2/3 of the way through the film to the end. It's just one thing after another.
Do you recommend it then?
Yeah, I think it was actually really interesting.
Intriguing.
Yeah, it was an interesting look at things. Okay, well, that's our quick cuts for today. And jumping right into our feature film, which is 2025's The Ugly Stepsister, which is an hour and 45. I think 18A, but this was maybe a European release, so I'm not sure if their rating system is the same. So this is body horror, satire, and black comedy. IMDb 7 and Rotten Tomatoes 96 and 86. Emily Blickfeld is the director. And my apologies in advance because some of these names are tricky, but I did write these out for myself and hopefully I'll get them. So Leah Mern is Elvira. Anna Dahl Torp is the mother, Rebecca, and Thea Sophie Lochnace is Agnes.
Well done.
Thank you. Probably butchered it, but whatever. In a twisted take on the classic Cinderella story, The Ugly Stepsister follows Elvira as she battles to compete with her insanely beautiful stepsister. In a fairy tale kingdom where beauty is a brutal business, Elvira will go to any lengths to catch the prince's eye. The Ugly Stepsister chronicles a ruthless competition for physical perfection. So this is the director's debut, and it debuted at Cannes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But I watched a really interesting interview with the director where she said, this being her first film, if she couldn't make this film, she wasn't willing to make films because she was so committed to doing this film in particular.
Can you explain that?
Well, her idea was if she couldn't get this film done how she wanted to do it,
right,
then she wasn't willing to make films at all.
Okay, so she had like a very strong vision for what this film was. Okay.
100%. Yeah, so I just found that was really interesting. Oh, it wasn't Cannes, it was Sundance. Sorry, I just looked at my notes. Anyway, so what was your take on this one?
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like usually the movies you pick aren't very good, but this one you came through. I feel like this was a really good one. So
sorry, it wasn't a Nicolas Cage film. I apologize.
That's right. Yeah, this really, I mean, on the one hand, I knew it was getting a lot of buzz. So I guess on the one hand, I had elevated expectations, but the idea of it didn't necessarily excite me like a Cinderella twist.
Exactly.
I was kind of like, okay, like the only reason I was excited to see it is just because I knew it had good critical acclaim.
Right.
But I really enjoyed this. I found it really engaging. And it's interesting because halfway through, I almost forgot that this was a story about Cinderella.
Yeah.
And then when they start doing the ball and the slipper thing, oh yeah, like this is Cinderella. But you're so conditioned to seeing that story through the perspective of Cinderella.
Yes.
That it feels like a foreign narrative when you see it through the perspective of the stepsister. And I really love what she did here. It's very clever. And the effect it has, I think, is very powerful. The body horror in some of these scenes is really crazy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that you end up empathizing and sympathizing with a character that's typically sort of a villain.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Had you, like, when's the last time you would have seen, like, the Disney version of Cinderella?
Oh, good God. Yeah. More than 40 years ago.
Yeah. And I hadn't watched it in a long time, despite having a daughter. So it all came back to me, though. I think the main features of the story. Yeah. But yeah, it's really brilliant. I think we'll talk in the spoiler section about kind of like unpacking the meaning and the analysis. But I really liked the sets and the color and the costumes. Like it's a beautiful, visually stunning film.
Yeah, I not only there was some really good there was some really good camera work as well. Mm-hmm. There's a scene at the ball where they're bent over backwards from their partner and you get an upside down view of the two women seeing one. Like there's just some really, really interesting film perspective or camera perspective on this one. I really like the music. It not only was fairy tale, but it also had a really dark edge to it.
Absolutely.
And I think it was absolutely perfect for the film. And the black humor was just so good.
Totally.
And I didn't expect I didn't expect that. I knew going in based on the title and what I'd heard about it. I knew that it was a Cinderella story, but what I didn't expect was the humor. That was a nice surprise.
Absolutely. I want to comment on that, but maybe it's a spoiler.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
There's a few things we won't comment on.
Was there anything that you didn't like before we get back into our likes?
No, like I think this is one that I can't really nitpick. I feel like on a technical level, it was very well done. The performances were all excellent. The costumes, the setting. I was engaged in the storyline. I found the body horror was really effective. And I think the ending was also satisfying. Yeah, no, honestly, this would be in my top. I think we both lamented that it wasn't one that we watched for our top 10 list. Yeah. This would have been very high on my top 10 list. I would think in the top 3 probably. How about yourself? Do you think?
For sure, it would have bumped out quite a few on my top 10.
Yeah.
Easily.
Did you have any negatives?
No, I didn't have anything that I disliked or that took me out of the film at all. The performances were really good. Like you've already commented, the sets were really good. I liked the camera work. It was just a real surprise for me that not a surprise in the sense that often European or foreign films are good or better than what I would expect out of Hollywood. But this even went over sort of what my expectations were.
And it felt fresh. It felt different, unique.
Yes.
And it's a good lesson because I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers maybe have the same issue, but I think you and I both struggled to watch this one partly because of the subtitles.
Yeah.
And we both appreciate films that have subtitles, but when you're in the moment and you're tired and it's 9:00 at night and you're sitting down and you just want to turn your brain off and watch something, when you're choosing between like the more artsy film with subtitles and the more like maybe just slasher type film without, like, okay, I'm going to go for the one that's just an easier watch. But I think it's absolutely worth pushing through whatever like apprehension you have about subtitles, because this was really engaging and really good. And within a minute that you forget you're watching subtitles.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's kind of like the idea of going to the gym, which, as you can see, I don't do very often. But it's kind of like once you make the decision to go and you're there, you're fine.
Totally.
And I find subtitles are the same. I think it took me 3 times to actually start it and then 2 times to finish, only because I started it late and I didn't want to. I wanted to be fresh for the second half. But yeah, once you commit to it, I think you don't even notice the fact that you're reading subtitles after a while.
Yeah, the gym's a good analogy. And typically, sometimes I'll watch a film maybe over 2 nights.
Yeah.
But this one, I was halfway through, and then my son wanted to play a video game or something, so I had to get off. But then I went and got my iPad and continued to watch it because I just was really engaged in the story. Yeah. So this was a very satisfying, enjoyable. What was the audience score on this one? 86?
86, yeah.
And the critic was
96.
Okay.
86 and 96, yeah.
So that fits. I think I would understand that. I would imagine the critic score would be very high.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would guess that the audience score would be a little bit lower, but I would still think pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, that's 86 is a pretty solid score.
Yeah.
As always, I'm always curious about what brought down the audience score.
Yeah, I wonder if some people struggle with the body horror part.
Because it was pretty gruesome. Yeah. There are some things that made me squirm for sure, which we'll get into, I'm sure. The lead character, Elvira, to me certainly was a standout, but the mother was really good too, Rebecca. Just her ability to switch between sort of personality types, where she's absolutely chastising the stepsister, but then she's praising Elvira, her daughter, and then she's just really nasty when it comes to the male company.
Oh yeah, but I think a lot of the humor also maybe comes from the mother.
Totally. Yeah,
the mother's brutal. But then. Yeah, like when I was watching the first half of the film, I just kind of forgot that, of course, she's like the wicked stepmother and those are the evil stepsisters. Like I just wasn't in that lens, even though in the back of my mind, I think I knew what I was watching. And it wasn't until later that really contextualized all those characters. But were you very cognizant of the fact that this was Cinderella, or do you feel like you kind of forgot about that as well?
No, I definitely had it on my mind. And at one point when Agnes has an indiscretion in the barn with some full frontal male nudity. The stepmother calls her Cinderella.
That's right. I think that's what snapped me back into it.
Yeah. So, but she kind of turns it on its head, right? Because it's the stepsisters. The mother is not the mother of the nasty sisters, right? And to be honest, I mean, Elvira, as we go through,
the mother isn't the mother of the nasty sisters.
Well, I didn't know, because doesn't the mom come with her 2 daughters?
Yeah.
To marry the old man and his daughter.
Yeah.
But I always read the
it's Rebecca, right?
Yeah, the mom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 2 daughters, like the main character, that's her mother.
Elvira, yes. So those 2 sisters, but I always read the fairy tale, and I could be misremembering because it's been so long. I always thought there was the mom with the sisters, and Cinderella was a stepsister that comes into the family. But the mom was actually but I could be mistaken. Haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, I won't speak authoritatively on it because I've not seen Cinderella in a long time either. But I thought maybe the setup was the same, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, it doesn't matter because it's all good. So yeah, they I mean, it's really hard. We've said this in a few reviews. Really hard to talk about this film without jumping into spoilers, because they really start right at almost at the very beginning. There's, I mean, this isn't giving much away, but the premise is that this woman and her 2 daughters, she's basically a gold digger, Rebecca, the mother, and she comes to marry this old man with his beautiful daughter, Agnes, and he dies very quickly afterwards. And Rebecca, the stepmother, kind of takes over the house and decides that, her daughters are, or at least Elvira, she kind of ignores the other daughter.
Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few over the years. Like I remember as a kid watching some of them where they take like a classic fairy tale and make it into a horror version.
Like Winnie the Pooh and
kind of like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think of Winnie the Pooh as like a
no, it's not a fairy tale. No, yeah.
Do you have any reverence or love for any of the other, like have you ever seen a version of a fairy tale made into a horror that you really liked?
No, I had high hopes for Gretel and Hansel.
Yeah.
But that disappointed me.
Yeah, I remember watching like a Rumpelstiltskin one as a kid, and I think a Snow White one as a kid. And they're all pretty forgettable for me. But I thought this is the best
absolutely
version of taking like a classic kids fairy tale and turning it into like a legit, really good horror film.
And I think what was so I'm just going to read this. The critics' consensus, taking a hammer and chisel to a quintessential fairy tale, the Ugly Stepsisters' masterful application of gore and subversion is the stuff that nightmares are made of. And I thought this was really true to the original Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah. Because if you've ever read the original fairy tale versus the Disneyfied version, they are completely different.
That's a good point, because the originals actually are really dark, and then Disney made them all not dark, and then we got to go back. So
yeah, if you go back and I remember the first time I read, I think I was an adult the first time I went back and read a fairy tale, because I'd always seen sort of the Disney versions. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, holy cow, that's really dark. And they're great. But I think this is one of the, few movies that actually went back to the original source material and was as dark as that material, which is,
Did the original have tapeworms?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So if you're listening, I guess, or watching, if you can maybe comment if you know of any good fairy tale horror films, I'd be curious if you had them, or you can email us. But if there are any good ones out there, I'd be curious to see some.
Yeah,
more.
Actually, I would be too.
Yeah.
Before we get into spoilers and stuff, there's definitely not just the black humor, but there's social satire. There's definitely comedy. There's definitely this brought to mind a very specific recent film that I will mention in the spoilers because I don't want to give it away. The dance classes, they've got a dance teacher and all of these young women are getting ready for the ball. And those were brutal in terms of how the dance teacher is interacting with the students and kind of the expectations of these young women.
They remind you of like Suspiria or something at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's legendary how some dance companies and dance teachers were absolute tyrants to get performances. So this is, a well-worn trope. But They did a really good job. I mean, the doctor is hilarious. Hilarious in some ways and not in others. But I don't know if I'm sure you noticed when he's doing one procedure, there's I don't know if it's like a little card or something that says beauty is pain.
Yeah.
Like there's some really, really laugh out loud funny bits. Even in the midst of body horror, there's some funny stuff.
But they really nailed the tone of the comedy. Like it never felt laugh out loud. Like it didn't feel like a comedy. It was subtle enough,
absolutely,
that it was there, but it never took you out of the seriousness of the story or the horror part. It just these nice little subtle digs that were pretty funny.
Yeah,
like it's a good blend.
And even I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if you remember the bit where Elvira is kind of questioning herself, and I can't remember the character's name, but it's in the dance. It was the partner of the dance teacher.
Yeah.
And she's the one who gives
yes.
Yeah. So she says to Elvira, you're changing the outside to reveal the inside,
yes.
which is so ironic because, of course, as the movie progresses, that inside does become very clear on the outside, right?
Indeed, yes. Where did you find your sympathies lying?
Oh, 100% with Agnes. The
With Agnes?
Yeah.
The Cinderella character.
No, that's Elvira, isn't it? The Cinderella
Other way around, I think. Elvira is the main girl.
Yeah.
And Agnes is Cinderella, right?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That my sympathies were with Agnes, not with Elvira.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, it starts with Elvira,
yes,
but it doesn't end with Elvira.
Okay.
Because of what she becomes.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, we can talk about it more. I definitely sympathized with her, and I understood. I can't say I understood what she was going through, but I understood her motivation.
Yeah.
But the lengths that she goes to, I kind of lost my sympathy for her.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think you're taking the classic hero and protagonist of the story, but then you're making the main subject of the film the villain. But then it's kind of, I find myself kind of jumping between who I was.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
sympathizing with more, and I actually found myself maybe villainizing Agnes more.
They certainly set her up that way,
but I think it would depend on your perspective. So that's why I was curious to hear what you think.
Yeah,
it's not black and white, I don't think, or cut and dry. I think depending on your own point of view, it can go either way.
Yeah, and there was a point where I kind of thought Agnes deserved is not the right word, but maybe had something coming to her when she's in love with the stable boy, and she's willing to have sex with him, but she's not willing to marry him.
Yeah,
and so she's very mercenary as well. And I mean, to be fair, we're looking at a time period. If we say this is the 19th century, but pretty much maybe the 20th century backward, weddings were mercenary.
Yeah.
You're getting land, you're getting money, you're getting goats, whatever you're getting, right, in the dowry. So it's not surprising that Agnes is going to say, okay, well, yeah, I'd rather be with you, but I need to have the prince.
Yeah.
And speaking of the prince, they make him so despicable.
He's such a dick.
Yeah, he's such a douchebag.
And that's kind of the irony, right? Is you have all these women competing and like literally killing themselves to be with this guy. And in the end, the guy's just a complete asshat. Yeah, so it's like, totally. What are you doing all this for? Yeah, exactly. Like, I love that. But in their mind, they're building it up as this. Yeah.
And even Elvira, when she meets him in the forest, and he's very like vulgar and condescending to her, she still has this, sort of view of him as the prince.
Yeah.
Despite what he says to her and how he treats her.
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit. I thought that might be a turning point in the film.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
No.
Yeah.
She just kept wanting to, be his bride. So it was very interesting.
Maybe part of the message. All right, maybe we should give our thoughts and jump into spoilers, do you think? Or is there anything else?
No, I think we need to get into spoilers. Absolutely. So definitely thumbs up. You should see it. If you're not a big fan of subtitles, I don't like dubbed versions, but see if you can find a dubbed version if you really can't abide subtitles. But I would say if there was a movie you were going to watch subtitles for, this would be the one.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would give it a strong recommend. One of the best films of 2025. And I think very accessible too. I think all types of horror fans would enjoy this one. So sometimes I think we recommend certain films for certain types of people, but I think this one's pretty universally appealing.
I would agree, except if you're squeamish. There's some pretty gnarly body horror in this one.
True, but it's pretty limited, do you think? Like there's one or two instances that are really gross, but I think most of the film isn't.
Yeah, no, fair.
It's not like
but those
Evil Dead or something.
those few scenes are over the top.
They are for sure.
Okay, yeah, so 2 thumbs up. Go see it if you can. I watched this on Shudder, maybe?
Yeah.
So if you have a Shudder, which is getting ridiculously expensive, I just had my annual. It was $125 for the year, which I suppose is less than $12. It's like $10 a month, and Netflix is $17 plus tax. So
don't get me started. I'm so frustrated with the current streaming landscape.
I know.
It's driving me crazy. I find anytime I want to watch a film, I don't have the platform that
exactly.
I need. I was just so spread out now.
And even I'm willing to pay to stream something. Even trying to find sometimes where to stream it, to rent it and pay for it is hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's becoming a problem. Shout out to Tubi, because Tubi's free and actually has a pretty good selection of older horror films. Yeah. So thank God for Tubi. But yeah, it's we just stopped subscribing to Netflix. The only one I get right now is Prime, and through Prime you can access
like Paramount and all these other ones.
And sometimes you get like free trials. So like, all right, free trial Shudder, watch all the things I need. All right, free trial like Starz.
That's a good idea. I haven't tried that actually, because Paramount has a lot of the ones that I want to see.
And they reset every once in a while. So yeah, I've been milking the free trials, so that's not a bad model. But they kind of force your hand. Anyways, that's a whole other episode. Oh, so body horror. Wait, spoilers. Okay, oh my God. The tapeworm is just not only, okay, so. Tapeworms are just kind of gross already.
I mean, so Elvira goes to the dance class, and she's really down on herself, and she's ugly and yada, yada. So the dance teacher's partner, at least I got the impression that they were partners. Mm-hmm. The dance teacher's partner, settles her down, says, no, you're beautiful on the inside, yada, yada. And she says, she gives her this egg of a tapeworm, and Elvira eventually takes it. And then it's just, until the end of the film, it's there.
You can see it like writhing around, like under her skin and her stomach.
And you can hear her stomach grumbling and all the rest of it. And then at the end, when she extracts this tapeworm, it is absolutely like, not only does you have that, because I'm not squeamish, but I don't like regurgitation scenes. They're just like make me cringe.
When she first does that, she like barfs up a bunch of eggs, tapeworm eggs, and you see them all there in her vomit. Like that was really gross. And
then they just keep pulling this thing out of her and pulling, and it's like
parasites are nasty.
I mean, I remember as a kid that what is it? Guinness World Book of Records was really popular.
Yes.
And there was always usually something about like a tapeworm or something that was in somebody's skin.
Or those National Geographic videos where they'd be pulling them out of people. Or like,
so I think it was true to form, but holy smokes, was that brutal.
Yeah, that's probably the most revolting scene, but effective. Did you think they were making any commentary with the tapeworm?
Interesting. I hadn't considered that. What were you thinking?
I was wondering if that was like a dig at Ozempic.
Oh, interesting.
As like, that's a modern day thing that like everyone is taking so that they can lose weight. And so I kind of was wondering if the tapeworm was meant to be a bit of a jab at like what the modern equivalent of Ozempic is.
Yeah, people. And maybe not Ozempic specifically, but certainly that whole industry of weight. I mean, if you go back decades, there's always been something, right? Some diet, the juice diet, this diet, that diet that promises to take the weight off for people.
It's always so sad and ironic because they actually have a scene where she's looking at herself in the mirror naked and she's not fat.
Not at all.
She's actually like quite beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's just always ridiculous that they have to like kill themselves for this unrealistic idea of, whatever a healthy weight is or an ideal body weight, which is so unrealistic.
Yeah. And I mean, comparing herself to her sister, which I didn't get, they may not even be the same age.
I think they made the comment that the sister was quite a bit younger because she hadn't menstruated yet. The mother makes that comment.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying is the older sister, Agnes, has developed. She looks more like a woman, but that's because she's older.
Yeah.
And that's who Elvira is comparing herself to, right? So yeah, there was definitely, I mean, I can see that as a comment on society.
There's that dinner where like they're all eating lots of food and then she has to eat like lemon water or something to lose weight. It's like, oh, man.
Now, did you, I immediately, once the body horror started, it reminded me of The Substance.
Yes, I can totally see that.
Yeah, so it was just like, and it was just like an epiphany for me. It was like, oh man, that's exactly like The Substance.
What was that other one we watched? Was it Raw?
Yes.
I remember that made a big impact. In terms of body
Julia
horror.
Ducournau.
Yeah,
that one, the French one.
Gave me a little bit of vibes of Raw as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I love these films that are so thoughtful and they have so many layers to them where you can enjoy them. You know, if you enjoy body horror, you can enjoy it on that level and not think about the commentary or what might be underneath it. But if you're willing to kind of scratch away at the surface, there's so much commentary. The fact that it's written by a woman, directed by a woman, you know, most of the female leads are women. No, they're all women, actually. The leads in the movie are all women. So it definitely, in my mind, had a message for young women that was very clear.
Yeah. One of the funniest things I think at the beginning, the black humor, was that you learn that both partners were marrying each other for their money and neither of them had money.
Yeah.
So Cinderella's dad was marrying the mother for money and the mother was marrying the Cinderella's dad for money. And they were both really sad when they realized that neither one of them had any money. I thought that was brilliant and really funny. Yeah.
I mean, it was just one thing after another where there's these, like you said, they're not in your face humor, but there's just that lovely little bit of, you know, kind of a wink and a nod, subtlety, but it's there.
I found that rhinoplasty scene also pretty.
Oh my God, that was brutal.
Like, and I didn't think they were just gonna go for it. And she had no painkillers, right?
No.
They just like put the chisel on her nose and crack it. Like, wow, I did not expect that.
I mean, the one that really had me squirming too was the eyelash. They're sewing eyelashes onto her eyelids
in like really close.
Yeah.
Detail.
Oh my. Yeah, that was brutal. And the one I killed myself laughing was as you got towards the end and, you know, she's left the ball and she's going to cut off her toes to fit in the shoe. And then her mom comes in after she's passed out and she's like, oh, you cut off the wrong toes. So her mom has to do the other foot. And it's just like, oh my God, I was just dying on that.
I guess I should have seen that coming. Did you see that coming?
I did. I knew something was going to happen with the slipper.
Yeah.
But I didn't anticipate she was going to cut her toes off.
I didn't either, but it seemed so obvious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's this body horror Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like, of course, she's going to have to fit her foot in the shoe.
Yeah.
But that was brilliant. It still didn't make it any less shocking or gross.
No. I mean, and yeah, anytime I was just watching something else where somebody had to remove an appendage. Anyway, it just makes me cringe anytime I see. I can't imagine doing it to myself. I have imagined doing it to other people, but I can't.
Probably me.
Can't imagine doing it to myself. Like how you would hold your finger, your hand, your foot, whatever, and not have the automatic reflex to move it when you're. Yeah, I just
even
can't.
if you knew you had to do it to like prevent infection or something.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. One of the other things that I really liked about this was they don't spend a lot of time on the relationship between Elvira and her sister, which, forgive me, I can't even remember what the character's name is. But the one scene, the sister kind of, you know, chastised her, said you're crazy for the tapeworm.
Tapeworm, yeah.
But then it's her sister that stands by her side at the end.
That was nice.
Yeah, which I thought was a really interesting take on their relationship.
Do you think that relationship was underdeveloped? Do you think they should have done more throughout the film to build it up? Or do you think that's the power of the ending?
Yeah, I kind of feel the second. I feel like if they had developed that more during the film, which is arguable, maybe they could have done that, but it wouldn't have the same surprise ending in that sense. Like the sister helps get her out of the castle, puts her on the horse. They go away. They leave her mother behind. performing fellatio on somebody.
And the mother didn't even care about her daughter anymore because she was having too much fun with her friend.
Yeah. It was just so I guess my take on it would be, if they had established that relationship a bit more, I think the ending would have lacked the power that it had.
Do you think it was the mother too callous and cold? Like, did that start to make it less believable that any mother, even a really shitty one, would treat their own daughter that way? Or?
No, actually.
Okay.
I mean, you just have to watch the news to hear stories about how people not only just treat one another, but treat their kids, right? So, so no, I didn't. I mean, and it was true to the original story.
Yes.
So that didn't faze me at all. I thought the mother was suitably cringy. Now, I thought it was really interesting. I mean, this is an obvious thing to say, but as you're going through the film, there's all these scenes of Elvira secretly eating or having food stashed in different places. And it's definitely, well, to me, it was obvious that, there's a commentary on her eating her emotions and trying to, soothe herself with food. And also that idea of being secretive, being one person when you're at dinner with family, but then, scarfing down things and trying to, I mean, it's kind of funny too, because it's the tapeworm that's that she's trying to feed, right? Yeah. What I was going to say, oh man, that mother scene was hilarious. I also like the dressmaker who's just totally kissing ass, as you would expect he's going to do. But he's talking about how beautiful she looks, and then he pulls out a chunk of her hair. That was nasty.
That was. But then they just throw a wig on her, like, you're fine.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, did you? I mean, this is a European film. I think it's Norwegian. I think Norwegian. Full frontal nudity, male nudity.
I wasn't surprised.
No, that didn't surprise me. And it's actually a little bit refreshing because we never see that in North American film. And I've always thought, okay, I don't get this. We see it with women, but we don't see it. Like somehow that's offensive or scary, or I don't know what they're thinking. But it's refreshing to see European film where it's like, yep, there it is, right in full view.
Yeah, although I feel like nudity has been dialed back in general for men and women
agree.
In film the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s and stuff, there was a lot, definitely more female nudity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, pretty much horror film was TNA in the 80s.
And I don't think that's the case anymore.
No. I think there's less ability.
Not with mainstream.
Yeah, there's less ability to rely on that as part of your formula. I don't think. Did you want to say at the beginning? Was there anything at the ball that you wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I think the main thing I wanted, in terms of humor, was just the fact that they married each other each for money and didn't have any. So did you think I took away that the message of this film was criticizing fairy tales, I guess, in that young girls are all meant to just look and idolize like the Cinderella or the Belle or the Jasmine, and they're all perfect. They're trying to marry the guy. They don't have to put any work into their appearance or any effort. But everyone else, including these like villainous characters, the degree to which they have to destroy their bodies and their emotional well-being and their psyches to attain that beauty that's held on a pedestal but so unattainable. In my mind, because she was using the fairy tale but having you sympathize with the stepsister was almost meant to like critique how society like holds these characters and these stories on a pedestal. Do you think that's what she was doing, or do you think she's doing something else?
No, I think 100% that's what she's doing. And I think I like how clever it is. I mean, I mentioned The Substance, which does very much similar messaging in the film, but it's using sort of more modern, TV personalities and how they look and how they dress. So I like the fact that she's going back almost to the source material, right, with fairy tales. And it struck me that one of the things that you always see in fairy tales is there's the male whoever it is, right? Prince Charming or whoever. There's no character development.
Exactly.
It's just the perfect man. You don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And it turns out that we know who this guy is in this film because he's a complete ass.
And it always stops at like they're holding hands at the end and then cut to the end. But then what you see what the women are doing with the men, like I think they shine a spotlight on purpose.
Absolutely.
Like, this is what you're signing up for and what you're killing yourself to do. And yeah, like my daughter watched all the Disney princess movies, right? So I think even today, we've made some progress, but everyone idolizes Ariel and Jasmine and Belle and Cinderella and Rapunzel.
I'm not going to say that I mean, that's in one sense, harmless entertainment. I think the key is not that you have to avoid showing those things to young people, males and females.
You just have to show them the ugly stepsisters afterwards.
That's right. But I think you have to have a dialogue, with them about, like, does that seem realistic to you? Does that seem real? What did you think about the prince? And, like whatever it is. But I think it's not so much that you shouldn't show those things, but that you should debrief them at some point if they're, to whatever level they're capable of debriefing at whatever age they're at. Because I think that's what has bothered me over time as a teacher is that we have all these stories and they set up unrealistic expectations for both men and women about the outcomes of relationships or how a relationship is going to, proceed from.
We live happily ever after.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Anyway, yeah, I think she's really doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to whatever her next film might be. Yeah. And I can't remember. I think it might have been at Sundance that I saw about a 15, 20-minute interview with the 3 female leads and the director. And it was, although I don't think the host was very good, but the answers were good. And they all had really interesting things to say. And actually the director talked about how she kind of made this movie for herself, because she's gone through a lot of challenges accepting her own body. And one of the other, the young actress that plays Elvira, she said the same thing.
Well, that has to be interesting playing a character, even as an actress, when you're the ugly stepsister. Because to some extent, I mean, I don't think she was ugly, but still that has to maybe play in your mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was the same. We talked about coming back to the substance. We talked about this, and I mentioned it when we did the review of the substance. Was I felt like it was a really brave thing for Demi Moore to do that film and to allow herself to be filmed and to go in the makeup and have look hideous and all the rest of it. Especially when it was, at least to me, was making a very clear commentary about changing your body and not accepting your body. And she's definitely had work done like almost every other actress her age. So yeah, it was a really interesting interview. I encourage you, if you like the film, check out some of the interviews on YouTube because the director's a really interesting person to listen to and talk about.
Now, I wonder, because she had been conceptualizing this film and wanted to make this film for so long, I wonder if she has another idea for another film, or if the second one won't be as good, because it's kind of like Midnight Mass.
Yes.
Which Mike Flanagan had been like planning for a decade. But some of his other ones maybe weren't quite as good, like Midnight Club.
Midnight Club, yeah.
Didn't like as much.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if she can follow this up with something incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that too with the Filippo brothers and their second, because there's that whole sophomore slump thing, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I would hope that coming out with a banger like this as your first film would give her opportunities.
Which is really impressive.
To do some things that she really wanted to do. And it's, you think about this being her first film. Hereditary was Ari Aster's first film. Talk to Me was the Filippo brothers' first film, I think. It's pretty incredible when you consider the first attempt that some of these people make at a film, and they're just absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. We talked about, I think all the gory bits that I wanted to talk about. No, I think that's it.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. Everything about this I thought was really good.
Yeah, go see it. Take our word for it.
But don't eat tapeworm eggs.
Yeah, don't do that. That's not good.
Okay.
What are we doing next?
Next we are doing Begonia.
Begonia.
So, yeah, if you want to tune in, or if you want to watch Begonia for the next episode, you should definitely check it out.
Yes, that one you should definitely check out before we review it. So, until next time, we'll see you in the aisles.